Good afternoon, Cincinnati Rotarians, and early happy Thanksgiving and happy holidays. This gift is sitting up here to remind you, if you did not bring your gift for the Condon School Party, please coordinate with Christy and Mary Brandstetter on dropping that off. But thank you to all the Rotarians who have created gifts for our Condon School Party on December 5th. I just came from Music Hall, where there was about 35 Rotarians celebrating with our community's National Philanthropy Day, which is happening there, and very generous Cincinnatians being celebrated. We're happy to have two very generous Cincinnatians here as our speakers today, telling us about a project they've been working on for nearly 2 decades. So excited by that. But let's begin our program as we normally do with the national anthem, Ken Coggeshall and Janet Metzelaar.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Tony Otry, would you please lead us in the invocation and four-way test? And as Tony makes her way here, will you please keep in your prayers Dan Gist, who lost his wife Mary Lou on October 22nd. Her funeral celebration of life is tomorrow at the Bellarmine Chapel at Xavier University. And also keep in your prayers past President Don Nyer, who entered hospice this week. Tony?
Thank you, President Doug. May we bow our heads in prayer, please? Lord of the universe, you have given most of mankind a strong desire to do good, to be honest, to serve others, and to faithfully fulfill our obligations to their neighbors. Help us as Rotarians and humans to do good. Help us as Rotarians and humans to be honest and ethical in all our dealings. Help us as Rotarians and humans to serve others. And help us as Rotarians and humans to faithfully fulfill our obligation as neighbors to our community, our nation, and the world. Amen. Now for the four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you.
You may be seated, except Angie Hawk and Mark Romito. Will you please stay standing so that we can wish you happy birthday on 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Awesome. Yes, a round of applause. All right, Trevor Cobain, let's meet our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, President Doug. Good afternoon. If you would, visiting Rotarians, visiting guests, please stand when I speak your name so that we can properly welcome you. First is Kevin Logeman from Optimum Impact Coaching, guest of Mike Brown. Mary Berta Coggeshall, she's a guest of one of our Rotarians, Ken Coggeshall, but is the guest of Michael Schatzman. Mike Pope from Jurgensen Company, guest of Anthony Riccardi. Peter McGarry of McGarry Custom Homes, also a guest of Anthony Riccardi. Sean McGorry of Clark Schaefer Hackett, again, another guest of Anthony Riccardi. Wade Johnson of Tri-State Trails is a guest of our speaker. And Marcia Lidner, a guest of Lori Leonard. Thank you all.
Awesome, thank you, Trevor. All right, our meeting sponsor today is Project Heart Restart, and talking to us about Project Heart Restart is longtime Rotary member and newly elected board member starting July 1, Lori Leonard. Lori?
Thank you very much. Project Heart Restart has been a passion of mine since 2005 and 2006 when my Leadership Cincinnati class 29, for those of you who are here, that's the best class ever. But we created Project Heart Restart, and Christ Hospital has kept it all these years, and I took the same mission of Project Heart Restart and did the same mission with the realtors. So my quick challenge to you is today, I just want to stand up here and say, I really hope, I want all of you to give something to Project Heart Restart. And guess what? I'm not going to push for any big amount. If you want to give $1, please give $1. If you want to give $10, that's terrific. If you want to give $100, that's great. If you are really passionate, you want to give $100,000, that's fine too. But I just want to be able to have the Project Heart Restart Committee. We're going forth now to provide 500 AEDs and all the squad cars for the Cincinnati Police. It's going to cost over $1 million. So please put in whatever you want to put in, but I'm not kidding, I want every single person in Club 17 to donate, because that will be a whole nother marketing story that Rotary Club 17 has been 100% in giving to this cause. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori and Jessica Stieritz. Let's meet our new member. Jessica?
Good afternoon. My name's Jessica Stieritz. I'm a relatively new member of Club 17, and I have brought my first new member to Club 17. It's my pleasure to introduce, thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce my longtime friend, Michelle Hanovan. Michelle's a Cincinnati native and graduate of Finneytown High School. She worked at La Rosa's through high school, transitioning to full-time after graduation. In 1991, she was part of the team that opened La Rosa's phone center, which was one of the first large-scale call centers in the United States. Fun fact, she holds the honor of being the person who took the first live order through the 347-1111 number, which is still memorialized in the La Rosa's corporate offices. Michelle worked her way up through the ranks of La Rosa's from hostess to corporate director of training and development and total quality officer during her 15 years in service there. She left La Rosa's to pursue her entrepreneurial dreams of owning her own consulting business with clients such as the Cincinnati Restaurant Association, La Rosa's, Kings Island, and Ruth's Chris. She and her former husband adopted 2 children from Guatemala in 2003, and then 2 more, this time school-age siblings, 5 years later. Michelle spent many years primarily caring for her family, including teaching her older children English and acclimating them to the United States, while also owning her own photography business. She also worked in the operations department at Western and Southern and joined the board of directors in 2020. My path crossed with Michelle when we traveled together in Guatemala in 2007 with my employer, Cooperative for Education. COED is an official cooperating organization of Rotary International, and we partner with Rotary on the Guatemala Literacy Project. Michelle's currently Cooperative for Education's Board of Trustees Vice Chair and will be the chair of the board beginning next year. Michelle and I were also fortunate to travel again to Guatemala together this past February when the Guatemala Literacy Project hosted RI President Jennifer Jones, who highlighted the Literacy Project on her Global Impact Tour. So Michelle was actually a Rotarian before joining Club 17. She became a Rotarian after, surprise, being hosted in the home of a past district governor from District 6600, which is the district just north of us. He's the founder of the Ohio Pathways E-Club, and of course he sold her on all the great things about Rotary. So last year when I decided I needed the in-person fellowship of Club 17, I left the E-Club and I convinced Michelle to jump ship and join me here. And I'm still apologizing to PDG Jim Hunt for stealing her. So please welcome Michelle Hanovan.
Welcome, Michelle, and thank you, Jessica, for recruiting already in your infancy membership. All right, Alexia Ochary, please fill us in on all the good things going at UC Rotaract and Thanksgiving.
Good afternoon, everyone. President Doug, thank you so much for having me. My name is Alexia Ochary. I'm the University of Cincinnati Rotaract Club president, and we are excited to invite you to our annual International Thanksgiving Dinner, generously sponsored by the World Affairs Committee, co-chaired by Tom Noonan and John Farmeyer. As you can see, last year we had our first annual Rotaract Thanksgiving Dinner with over 150 students. The International Thanksgiving Dinner was developed with the intention of extending our Rotaract family to international students who, many of them cannot go home or don't have the opportunity to visit with their families during the holiday season. So we wanted to extend our family to them. All international students are welcome and food from all over the world is served. Last year we had an amazing turnout of over 150 students, and this year we're anticipating double. We welcome you to join, thank you. We welcome you to join our Rotaract family this holiday season. The dinner will be held at 6 p.m. this Sunday on the 19th at Great Hall within the Tangeman University Center on University of Cincinnati's main campus. The directions and parking are on the flyer sitting at the welcome table outside. Those of you who would like to volunteer are welcome to arrive at 4 p.m. or stay until 9 p.m. to help with setup and clean up. There are flyers with information regarding the event itself and a map showing where the event is and parking that is nearby. Please pick up both flyers with all the information and a QR code to scan to RSVP. And please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Tony Archery. She can raise her hand and you can see what she looks like. She's our Rotaract advisor if you have any questions at all. We are so excited to see you all there.
Thank you, Alexia. Before we can get to Thanksgiving and next week, we have a happy hour. Eddie Rowan is going to tell us about that. Eddie?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. As President Doug mentioned, we are hosting a Rotary After Hours tomorrow evening, just before everybody gets bogged down into the holidays, and hope that each of you will consider joining us. My understanding is we have a pretty good turnout thus far. We are preparing some scouting delicacies for the event tomorrow evening, which will be held in Evendale at our Scout Achievement Center. This scouting delicacy are some desserts that will be prepared by a local scout troop via a Dutch oven. So we hope that you will come by, perhaps bring a snack if you'd like one, and bring a drink of choice and join us for some fellowship. Tomorrow from 6 to 8, the Scout Achievement Center should be in your email communications. We'd love for you to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. And next week, as we're helping those UC international students celebrate Thanksgiving, there will be no meeting here at the Phoenix. The following week, however, we have our regular monthly breakfast on Tuesday, November 28th at Already Cafe in Sharonville, 8 to 10. And please register on DACDB and bring guests, prospective members who maybe can't meet it at Thursday luncheon. They can join us on the monthly Rotary Tuesday breakfasts. Also, Tuesday night, we have Rotary Euchre at the home of Mary and Bob Brandstetter. Please contact Mary if you'd like to attend. She said, don't tell Bob because he'll forget to tell me. So contact Mary if you plan to attend Rotary Euchre. She didn't really say that, Bob. All right, in Rotary world, we're controlled by districts. Our district is 6670. The leader of District 6670 is a guy by the name of Doug Beakey. He has some lieutenants who help him do his job across all of the clubs in 6670. One of those lieutenants is Frank Perez. He's here today to speak to you. Frank.
Thank you, everyone. Pleasure to be here at Club 17 today. Just a couple of quick notes from the district. Number one, wanted to thank you guys and congratulate you on a wonderful due day that you guys had. I know over 500 volunteers all over the area. I have some other clubs that actually participated with you, and they said it was a fantastic effort from everyone. Second thing I'd like to mention, November is Rotary Foundation Month. And I know you've heard some things about the foundation already, and you guys do a nice job of supporting it. You also, it's a unique situation here in that you have your own foundation. From my perspective, that would be a number one priority for me, is my own home foundation. So I encourage you to support that. But if it fits for you, the Rotary Foundation does fantastic work worldwide, nationally, and locally, because half of all the contributions that are made come back to the district after 3 years and are available as district grants. So if it's a good fit for you, keep that in mind as another option for you to support Rotary. Again, thank you for being here. And maybe I'd be the first to say happy holidays to everybody.
All right, thank you, Frank. Split the pot time. The split the pot total 25% of today's take is $42, and it's going to the winner, who is 765. All right, President-elect Eric Petway. Now let's see if you can pull the Queen of Hearts for the big pot, which is $1,094. $1,094. Ace of diamonds, so close, but congratulations. All right. Ahead of schedule, Anthony, let's introduce today's program.
Thank you, President Doug. Rotarians and guests, our extra special presenters today are Jan and William Wim Portman III. They are co-chairs of the Crown Capital Campaign, and that stands for Cincinnati Riding or Walking Network. To date, Jan and Wim raised over $10 million towards completion of the Crown campaign as part of their voluntary leadership of this urban trail loop that aims to provide a safe and accessible connection for over 356,000 Cincinnatians and visitors to our schools, our parks, our retail stores, and throughout the community. Jan's work with the Crown is part of a lifelong passion for conservation, which has led to serving on boards for national and global conservation organizations. Jan is a geologist and geographer by training with degrees from Smith College and Harvard University. Jan's involvement in Cincinnati also includes work as a volunteer on board of trustees for the Cincinnati Zoo and Botanical Gardens and artworks. Jan is a recipient of the Inquirer's 2023 Women of the Year Award, bestowed on a woman to make Cincinnati a great place to live and to work. Wim Portman is a graduate of Kenyon College and received his MBA from the Business School at Dartmouth. He is president of Gallatin LLC. He is a former president of Pond North America, a Dutch family company, and the former CEO of the Portman Equipment Company. Wim's current and past corporate and community engagement is also prolific. His involvement includes serving on the boards of the Cincinnati Research Institute and a member of the Greater Cincinnati Regional Business Committee. He is also the former chair of the Board of Trustees of the University of Cincinnati and the Greater Cincinnati Foundation. Jan and Wim live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and also the Blackfoot Valley of Montana, where they are committed to conservation, working landscapes, and vibrant communities. They have 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren. And with no further ado, Win and Jan Portman.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jan Portman,
And I am Wim Portman. Okay.
and we're going to tag team today. And the very first thing I want to do is thank you for inviting us to be here today, because not only do we get to wear our matching t-shirts again, which is like one of our favorite things to do, and not only do we get to talk about the Crown, which is a great passion for us, but we've learned more about Rotary, which is really wonderful, and learned more about all the work, all the good work that you do in this organization. So thank you again for inviting us.
If you can see the logo, the Crown logo, Cincinnati Riding or Walking Network. And the individuals in that logo, you can see a centerpiece, someone's riding, someone's walking, and there's a connection. People are looking back and forth. The only thing you can't see are the smiles on their face. If anyone's been on Wasson Way or part of the Crown, you notice the many smiles that are there. So, all right.
We use the word transformative in our introduction, and it might be an overused word these days, but not here. The vision and these trails are all about connections and about people. We're linking neighborhoods to each other and to regional trail networks. The trail's safe, and it's for everyone. The trail's also about motion, and so we want to show you some moving pictures. So here we go.
Crown is the Cincinnati Riding or Walking Network, and our goal is to create a bigger vision for Cincinnati. This will be the most exciting Midwest trail you can imagine.
It connects 34 miles of neighborhoods, downtown, uptown. It's going to be a fabulous resource for everyone.
At Kroger Health, our vision is to help people live healthier lives. And this project absolutely fuels that vision.
It's inspired so many of us to walk, to stroll, to run, to bike on the existing trail and the future trails.
This adds quality of life to all segments, all classes, all backgrounds. I'm very, very, very proud to be part of it.
It's been remarkable to witness the passion that we've all brought together.
What a great thing it would be when we eventually have these trails somewhere they can go that's well visited and walked by everybody.
We're all going to pull together and we're going to make it happen. And this is it. It's here and there's more to come.
All right. In that previous picture, we forgot to mention, in the middle between our current mayor and our former mayor is Sean McGrory. Sean's going to leave in a minute, but Sean, would you stand up for a second? Sean is president of Wasson Way and an integral part of this whole success. So thank you, Sean. Yeah. Okay. Next.
Yeah, sure.
No, next.
Slide.
Yes.
We'll get this.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
1817. The first park of Cincinnati became Piatt Park. It was donated to Cincinnati. And after that, in the early 1900s, 1907, George Kessler came about and created the first city park plan. So that was over 100 years ago. And then 1930, the Hamilton County Park System started. So that today, most of you may know this, the Cincinnati Park System, even without Hamilton County Parks, is known as one of the tops in the country. If you take out Washington, D.C., which is sort of an unusual place, it's really one of the top 2 or 3 in the country. So we have, it's amazing what we have here in Cincinnati. So part of the Crown is saying, okay, we've got this great park system. How do we take this uniqueness as well as other things and move ahead? So we know we have these unique attributes. We know we have an interesting geography. We know we have hills that many cities don't. Think Columbus, Indianapolis, and Louisville. Think rivers. Think the Little Miami River. Think the Big Miami River, or Great Miami, whatever it's called. And think the big river, Ohio River. Not many cities have that attribute. And think arts and culture. We have great arts and culture starting, in the late 1800s that most cities our size don't have. And finally, the parks, which we talked about, and then universities. The Crown connects 2 great universities, Xavier and UC. So we have these attributes. We can create a legacy for this century by bringing this all together. And truthfully, this is all about connection of people and things and places and institutions. Okay. All right, so we have a couple attributes here. Firstly, linking trails and parks, which we talked about. And imagine linking Alt Park to Eden Park, which this trail will do. Reconnecting neighborhoods. This is something that, as we got started, we didn't see it as one of the top priorities, but as this unfolds, we've quickly understood that I-71 and I-75 have split so many neighborhoods. And this trail connects many of them. Think Marymount to Hyde Park, think Hyde Park to Evanston, think Evanston to Amberley, think Amberley to all the way to downtown eventually. So this is happening quickly, and you see incredible diversity on the trails because of it. Reconnecting neighborhoods, I mentioned. Spurring economic development. I'm a business guy, and if you've walked Watson Way, you already see Buskin's open on Sundays for donuts. You see
Saturdays.
Saturdays. Sorry, yeah, Buskin's isn't open on Sundays. That's right. Yeah.
Don't go on Sunday morning.
Yeah, don't go there Sunday. You see already apartments and bars, popping up. I think Wade, who we've mentioned in a minute. I mean, we've had the bar hop. Ales for trails. Ales for trails. Not that you want to ride the bikes a lot and drink a lot of beer, but the amount of economic activity is unbelievable so far, and it's going to even be better. And then finally, attracting and retain talent. I think about UC, and I think about our goal to try to keep more UC graduates in Cincinnati. With over 50,000 students now, we have a lot of them. I think about our own kids. We have 3 kids who are all in their 30s, and it's like, how do we bring them back to Cincinnati? I look around the room, and many of you have children probably our age. So attracting and retaining talent is a huge deal for the success of Cincinnati. And next we have.
So we also believe that the trail will improve public health and wellness, and there's more science behind this every single day. That being out in nature or being out in fresh air and exercising is really great for improving health and wellness. When we have healthier people, we have stronger communities. We're also expanding transportation options around the city. The trails are free for users, they're green, and just like vegetables, they're really good for you. So we're doing all of that, and that's also promoting environmental sustainability. This is me.
All right.
So this next slide is all about partners, and what I want to do is just take a minute right here, and most of you have met Sean McGrory, who's been critical and strong leadership on Wasson Way and on our Crown team. I also would like for Wade Johnston just to say hello again to everybody. Wade is the executive director for Tri-State Trails, and we always call him the hub in the middle of our wheel, and we're spokes around that wheel. Crown is part of Tri-State Trails, and Wade is right there in the middle of it. Sometimes we're flat tires, sometimes we're kind of bent in frames, but Wade's always there kind of keeping us on track. So this slide about partnership, you can see this was a great big idea and people really like being involved. And the other factor I think is that this trail addresses so many needs and dreams of our community members, so people have really signed on and stepped up. It's truly a private-public partnership. We have funding from the city, we have funding from other local governments, we have state and federal funding, and it has taken so many people to kind of pull it all together and make it happen. So we're so grateful to our partners. And I know you can't read them all, but just, you know, you talk to people around the city, and there's so many people who are engaged and people in the region.
So I know you can't read this, but I'm going to walk you through the first 25-mile loop, which is the phase 1. Phase 2 is another 12 miles to the west. And imagine this as kind of an octopus with many tentacles. Our goal is to create this core octopus with many trails kind of coming up around it. One of the connections exists today, and that's Cincinnati to Cleveland, 330-mile trail. And I believe it's one of the longest trails in the country already. So we're connecting right to that. So put yourself, if you've been to 50 West in Newtown, Marymount area, imagine yourself at 50 West, where it connects the Little Miami Trail. The trail now goes.
Oh, great. Wait,
okay.
sure.
Now we got the tallest guy in the room with the longest fingers. Okay.
Where'd the pointer go?
We're not using it. Okay, so we're at 50 West. Everybody know where 50 West is? All right. Okay, we're at 50 West, and it already goes about maybe an eighth of a mile and stops behind Kroger. Starting in the next year or so, it's going to go up the hill. This is all approved by Marymount. If anyone here is from Marymount, I hope you will agree. It goes up the hill, and it will cross over the road there at the high school and go behind Marymount, where the old tram used to be, across Miami Road and all the way to the other side of Marymount. And that's all been approved. It's about 80% funded, and we're trying to fill in the next 20%. So within a year or so, that'll be done from 50 West up through Marymount to connect to the current Wasson Way Trail, which goes into Marymount and goes all the way to Xavier, if some of you have been there. And that's been a multi-year effort. And trails, you build trails foot by foot, and luckily with Sean's leadership and many others, we've cut across 71 there onto Xavier. And next year, we'll begin Xavier. It'll be a trail right across the campus, across Montgomery Road, and then near Listerman Brewery. And also within the next 30 days, they will announce the trail from Xavier to Blair in Avondale, which is most of the way to UC. Then the following year, we'll get all the way to UC, MLK, and Reading Road. So that's all in process and happening. We're working with UC to create trails through the university, so there'll be more than one trail that will connect the two campuses and eventually go downhill to Mill Creek. And the next piece, which we've received federal funding for, kind of ties in parks and arts, and that is down the old Gilbert Avenue. If some of you were here when the tram was there, it's a very wide street, so there's room for a trail. And that, we're working with the Art Museum, the ballet, Artworks, and many others to make that happen, to get downtown and connect eventually to Smale Park. And eventually to the Champs-Élysées, which is the street near FC football, FC soccer. So that is, and then we get downtown, I forgot one of the most important parts. Smale to Lunken is something we started on 20 years ago, and we are hopefully within weeks or month of finalizing that. The trail will connect Smale Park to Lunken, which then connects to the Little Miami Trail. So that's the 25-mile loop. And the next 12 miles, I think Jan will talk about in a minute, but that's going over to Mill Creek, which has huge opportunities. Okay.
And Stretch Armstrong, if you would just stay there for a minute, we could talk. We could talk about this. I don't need to say much about this regional map. We just have this so that you can see that this is not just about Cincinnati and Kentucky, Northern Kentucky region. That trail that Wim mentioned, that Wim and Sean and I think Wade's written it, that goes from the Ohio River to Lake Erie. 326 miles, goes off to the northeast, and that we're connected to that right now. That is the Little Miami Trail, and it takes you all the way to Cleveland. So that's what that slide is about, just to put it in the bigger picture.
Okay. Money, money, money. So this is an effort, it's a volunteer effort. And many of you are volunteers in so many different organizations I know. And the mission of your group here is to support the city in so many civic ways. The total cost of the first phase is a little over $70 million. These numbers change as inflation hits us, but that's roughly the number. We've raised over $10 million to match both federal, state, and local funds to make all this happen. And as I said, it's a great way to leverage private money. And during COVID was turned out to be the best time ever to raise money. All of you have, I'm sure, raised money, but taking people out in the trail and showing them what it's going to look like, I think we were 99.9% successful because people were dying to get outside, and they're happy to give us some money. And it's hard, as you all know, it's hard to raise money for an organization that either doesn't exist or is in the embryonic stages. So anyway, so far so good. Not that we're done, but we're moving ahead.
Not done yet. That's a message too. So this slide is about our donors, and we just can't say thank you enough to our donors. Everyone we spoke with, everyone we walked with was just so incredibly generous. And I think that's because it's a great idea, because it meets so many needs, and because Cincinnati's a generous place. So I just want to take a minute right now and acknowledge a few more people. I won't be saying their names, but it wasn't just the Jan and Wim show. We had a team of people that we call the Kitchen Table Group, because we met every week during COVID. We met on Zoom for 2 years, maybe even longer. It feels like a long time. And we're still meeting because trails are complicated, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but it's a big puzzle. But this is about our donors and just how generous people have been. And we asked people to give between $1 and $1 million. And we just had so many people. We had several businesses and a foundation that stepped up at that level, which was just a huge, huge boost for us. So we have 4 jewels in the crown. And Kroger and United Dairy Farmers, and Marcia's here with us today, so we had a wonderful meeting with Brad, but Kroger's and United Dairy Farmers stepped up early on because they saw the potential for this, for doing good, and for creating safe transportation and safe space for people. So that was huge for us to be able to begin our fundraising with those 2 gifts. And then Procter & Gamble sort of nudged us over the finish line, and then the Marge and Charles J. Schott Foundation saw that we needed seed money to go that next 12 miles, sort of the phase 2 part, and they wanted us to have seed money to be able to do that. So it's just such a great story about generosity in this city.
If you've ever driven 71, which most of you probably do every day, you notice this original bridge over 71, which is now Wasson Way. And you go to the next slide. Yeah. It has transformed, and for some reason we were able to get the Wasson Way note up there. You were, Wade, which is unusual for the state of Ohio, but or Sean did that. But the
Stretch Armstrong.
Stretch Armstrong. So the great thing is, step 1 is asphalt. We're getting and you know, if you think about Cincinnati, one of the great things about Cincinnati is that back in around 1900, we were one of the largest cities in the country, and we could have been Chicago, apparently, right, Doug? But we're not. But we do have old railroad tracks, which really is helpful. Not every city has that. So we've been able to take advantage of a lot of the old railroad tracks as we put the crown together. Once we get the asphalt down, that's really just the beginning. The next steps are obviously connecting neighborhoods and so forth, but it's the landscaping. If you've been on Wasson Way, all that landscaping has come to us from different vendors for free, done by volunteers that you guys have been involved with. A lot of artwork, we'll see one of them in a second, and sculptures. Red Bike is putting in stations all along Crown. And special events are happening. When we talked to Children's Hospital, they said, we won't give you money for asphalt, but when you get to Avondale, we will provide helmets and bikes for kids, and we'll teach kids how to ride bikes. And that's what we're here for. You know, the asphalt is just the beginning of great opportunities.
So, same thing, talking about, this is just, we get the pavement down and we talk to people and you can just watch them thinking about programming and thinking about great things to do on the trail. This is an example of that. This is another partnership too. It's a partnership between Duke Energy and Artworks. So this is on Wasson Way. This is a Duke Energy building that's on Dana. So it's sort of east of Dana and Montgomery, if you can place yourself. It's called Electric Alley, and it's at the time, it was the biggest mural that Artworks had ever done. But because Duke Energy stepped up, Artworks was able to employ teen artists and teaching artists the summer of 2020 to do this mural. The history's there. You'll see the railroad in this, and if you go see it in person, you can see even more and pick out special icons in there. But you see the railroad, you see the electricity, and then there are 4 mascots for the schools that are close by to this mural. And it's just so fun to watch people stop, and it just brings an energy to this part of the trail that's really quite special. And to the neighborhood.
Okay, here's a slide of danger on the left and safety on the right. If anybody knows Brandon Call, who's head of our chamber right now, these are his 2 daughters. This was when we were taking tours on the track in Walt Park. There's an old trestle there that has some of the trestles missing. It wasn't exactly a very safe walk, but we did it. But if you look at her face on the far left, and look at the face on the right, this is part of what the trail's all about. When you see little kids riding tricycles in the trail with their parents, I mean, that's what it's about. So anyway, they're very happy that we paved it, and they're very happy to be able to go through it.
They're also so cute.
Right.
Okay, so where are we in the world? Where are we in? We're in Cincinnati. We're near Xavier. We're on the south side of Dana. We're close to Listerman's. And this is what is being worked on right now. That we just got a news flash from Sean that it may be complete before the end of the year, right? So that's really big. So if you imagine yourself here, we have the first time people take this walk, it's a walk of discovery. There's a bridge here that goes over Victory Parkway to Blair Park in Avondale. And I think most people, myself included, take this walk for the first time. You have no idea that that's there. You have no idea that there are 20 acres of woods in this part of the trail, in this part of the city. That is going to be green space, it's going to be access, it's going to be connecting neighborhoods. And it's about a mile long. So when I walk this part of the trail, or I think about this part of the trail, I think about a walk that we did with a woman whose late husband was a big biker. And we took her out on the trail, and she's excited that we're doing this, but she wasn't that interested in pavement. And maybe when you're 92 years old, you just think that, you've seen enough pavement in the world. We did not take her in the construction site. We took her on a completed part of the trail. And she said, you know what I really want to do? And she said, I want to know about the kids who are going to be impacted in this neighborhood, and I want to know about the schools that are there. So she did not give us a gift to put down pavement, but she gave us a gift to buy 50 bicycles, and we made sure that there were kids at all those bikes went to kids at Evanston School. And when I say we, that is the royal we, which means Wade Johnson did that. And it was just such an exciting day, and we could send her pictures of 50 kids with brand new bikes, and this trail is almost finished for them. So I always think about that story and programming, and people sort of taking the leap for the next step after we get that pavement down.
This is just a quick picture from around 50 West. The Little Miami River is right to your right, one that will be expanded up to Marymount. Great Parks is about to embark upon a canoe livery there also, so you're going to connect the trail to not only the river through kayaks and canoe connections and so forth. So great opportunity. And down the road further is
So how about this? I mean, we love a lot of our slides, but this one's really amazing. This is Beachmont, and this is the bridge over Beachmont. So in the upper right-hand corner of this slide is Otto Armleder Park. Upper left side is Lunken. And in the lower half of this photograph is the trail that goes under Beachmont and connects with Little Miami and goes all the way to Cleveland. I mean, it was amazing to get this done. Transformative. And we worry a lot less about Wade because he used to ride his bike to work and across the levee, maybe in the dark of the night, but when there were fewer cars. But anyway, this is just wonderful. And if you've ever walked across it and you stop and look at the Little Miami along the way, it's also stunningly beautiful. And there are blue herons there, and once in a while I see a bald eagle. So it's just a wonderful, another link in the trail. We should speed up a little bit.
All right. Next shot is, this is the Oasis line that connects Lunken to Smale Park. You can see there on the left, it is active. There is one customer there, an ingot customer, and they have the Montgomery and supper line, but it's usually twice a week and usually at night. So our trail would go on the right side here with hopefully a short wall between, but that's what we're hoping to celebrate within the coming weeks. The next picture talks about economic development. If you've been to the precinct before, this is a little road by precinct. I think it's called Walworth. All these multi-million-dollar homes, and some of you may live there, I don't know, but they were sold saying, buy a house, you'll be right on the bike trail. And you can see where the trail is going to go near on that left trestle there. So this is part of what's going to happen economic development-wise, and hopefully at all ends of the housing spectrum.
So this is a great slide too. This is the Mill Creek. So this is what's coming next. And it's a big vision for the west side. It needs to happen, and we need to make these connections and bring resources to this part of town. So this is a picture of an old railroad line next to Mill Creek, and it looks like we could just put pavement down tomorrow, which we've talked about doing in the dark of night, but that's probably not a good idea either. We wish it were just that easy. It's this great big complex puzzle sometimes to do bike trails, and in this case, it's a puzzle of land ownership, right-of-way, design, community building, meaning getting the community engaged, and resources. But fortunately, we have this growing group of people, a group of people, and the number is growing, not that the people are growing. Anyway, we have an expanding group of people who are really passionate about this, and they are diving in and addressing this puzzle, and they're really passionate. So stay tuned about this. This is the next big thing, and we just wanted to show you Lick Run, which has already happened. For those of you who've been here, it's quite remarkable. It's daylighting a stream that has not seen the light of day for 100 years. Big project, big investment. This is one component on the west side, and it's green infrastructure, which we need. So this is early on photo. Those trees are just getting started. So it's going to be bigger and beautiful, and it's very exciting.
This is down to Riverfront Park. Some of you may have seen it. It's next to a restroom that's down there. Anyway, this celebrates the crown, and local artists did this for us. On the back, we thank all the donors and so forth. And maybe one of the most important parts about this slide is that handshake. We are not a metro government, even though I think we should be. But when you have the gentleman running Great Parks, Todd Tallmatter on the left, and Jason Barron running City Parks on the right, shaking hands, that doesn't always happen in Cincinnati. And part of the great things of the crown are these collaborations. So it's a collaboration slide. It also reminds me, I went to the State of the Union address this week with APTAB, and he said, our whole goal is to build neighborhoods that are, quote, vibrant, accessible, and safe. That's exactly what we're doing. So I love this slide because a lot of people are shaking hands, federal, state, local, people that don't normally shake hands, and hopefully we want to promote that even beyond the crown.
So you can see that we, and you know now when I say we, it's a whole lot of people. It's not just the two of us up here in our t-shirts. It's all our partners, all our funders, that we've made great progress. And you can also see that there's a whole lot more to do. So there are lots of ways to get involved. Didn't want anybody to leave without a few of those. You can volunteer. We already talked about Wasson Way, and I'm looking at Sean because they have an organized and very robust volunteer group. Tri-State Trails also has great opportunities for pitching in, doing cleanups, doing pop-up bike shops. There are lots of things going on with Tri-State Trails. Of course, you can donate. We have more to do, and everything gets more expensive every day. And importantly, you can learn more about trails. So you can be an advocate for trails in your neighborhood, across the city, across the region. And we'd like to leave you with one last thought, which is the most important thing about the crown and what happens when a section of the crown is opened or completed is that we are connecting to each other. We're connecting people to people. We're connecting neighborhoods to neighborhoods. So we hope that you will get out and enjoy the trail, whether it's raining or the sun is shining, if it's warm or if it's cold, it's all good. And it's this big ribbon of energy around Cincinnati, and you can be part of it when you're on the trail. So thank you again for having us, and we're going to crown the queen.
All right, thank you.
We're here for questions.
What about northern Kentucky, the connection with northern Kentucky?
Yeah, Wade knows this better than I do, but there's a lot going on in northern Kentucky. The Purple People Bridge is certainly one connection. Wade, you want to answer that?
Yeah. Riverfront Commons is a trail that's in development.
Oh, come here.
Riverfront Commons.
We called in the hub.
Riverfront Commons is a trail that's on the Ohio River on the Kentucky side, and there's a trail along the Licking River, too, that's a little further south in Covington. So one of the efforts that's underway is to try to connect those and expand it out into even more neighborhoods.
Yes.
Rotarians in India are sponsoring rechargeable rickshaws as taxis, electric rickshaws, and I'm thinking about the food desert problem we have in Walnut Hills and Evanston, and how wonderful that trail would be if there was kind of an electric bike taxi service along the trail.
Red bike. Sean. I was going.
All right, yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So Red Bike is planning to have eight stations along the section of Wasson Way from Montgomery Road, Xavier, in Evanston to where Kroger's is in Hyde Park. And it's really kind of neat. They've picked those spaces precisely for that, for access to Kroger's, access to Rookwood and Whole Foods. And they're small, they're compact ones, so that you can take a bike just from, so it's only four spaces that, so they'd rather have a number of stations with fewer bikes than, one or two big stations that you have to walk a long way to get to. So right now, that's the initial plan for accessibility.
And most of the bikes are now electric, and in a few years, I think they'll all be electric. So hopefully that will help.
There's a question right here.
Yes.
It does thank you for all you're doing. It's to bring mental calm to everyone and joy. Just your joy in corporate, for all, for Cincinnati, your joy.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
It's really fun to see you on the trail.
Yeah. In light of the divisions of our life right now, joy is an important piece of our need. Yeah.
We've got lots of questions. Should we just kind of go around in a circle? Okay. Who's the
way back?
Question answerer?
One of the most visual things about Cincinnati is our inclines. Lots of them. Could you talk about what are some of the more steeper grades along the whole crown? You guys can buffer those architecturally so everybody can use them.
Are you somebody who wants a challenge, or
yeah.
Because I think like Gilbert Avenue would be a good place for you to start.
So Gilbert is probably the steepest of the first 25 miles, but Gilbert is not as steep as Vine Street and Sycamore. So it's the best way to get up to Pill Hill or whatever. But you're right, and you can make it on a regular bike. we've all done it. On an electric bike, it's even easier, yeah.
There's also through Old Park, that's a pretty steep grade, but there's switchbacks on that part of the trail, make it accessible.
Right.
Yeah, should we go around the back and?
Yeah.
At the very eastern end of the Watson Trail, we were sort of thinking you would continue straight and go over that old railroad bridge over Red Bank Road. Is that still a possibility?
It is a possibility. I'll let Sean answer that question because it's a longer-term possibility.
Yeah, these are great questions, and we could spend a half an hour on these. The short answer to that is there is preliminary planning being done to do just that. And that would potentially be a way to connect, believe it or not, and it's hard to get your head around the geography of this, but that would be one of the potential connections from Wasson Way directly to Arm Leader. So ODOT is actually studying that right now.
It'll be expensive.
It'll be expensive, just like everything else. That's right, get out your checkbooks.
Were there other cities, when you guys were kind of conceptualizing this plan, other cities that have this type of a trail system, connecting neighborhoods to neighborhoods throughout their city that you kind of used as a model or inspiration?
I'll let Wade answer this question. A lot of cities are doing that. If you think about the Culture Trail in Indianapolis and what Louisville's doing, and Minneapolis wins one of the top urban cities in the world right now with their trail network. But I'll let Wade answer it more specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that like every Midwestern peer city is doing this. And so this is really about remaining competitive. In Indianapolis, they have the Cultural Trail. It's generated like $1 billion in property value increase in 6 years. Columbus has the Central Ohio Greenways. Cleveland has what they call the Emerald Necklace. Louisville is working on the Louisville Loop. Lexington has the Legacy Trail and the Town Branch Commons Trail. I mean, we could go on and on. And so we're trying to create that same type of experience here in Cincinnati.
People want to live in walkable, accessible, safe places. So bikeable. People want this form of transportation. So we've got a question.
Some of us live a lot west, further than Woolbridge, and I'm looking at your website. There's a trail that you've got outlined as potential that's already in place. I'm guessing it's maybe Franke Park, where we walk almost every morning with our dogs. So I also know that Great Parks is looking to put more trails in the western side of Cincinnati. Will you be connecting with that?
Yes, yes. I'm young. We could do this for another 2 decades. So I would say there's 3 big arteries going to the west side that are in development right now, and there's aspirations to have many more. One of them is along the Ohio River. So a piece of that is already built in Lower Price Hill, and then there's a piece that's at Riverside Park, which is a boat ramp. And the city is studying right now how to connect those two, and it's complicated because of the geography. Then Lick Run is one of those arteries, which will connect to the Western Hills Viaduct with the trail into downtown. And then going west, the city just got an $8 million grant to connect up to Dunham Recreation Center, where there's another little piece of trail. And then up to College Hill is a route that the city just earmarked $52,000, I think, to do a feasibility study. Another old rail line that is between Winton Road and Hamilton Ave through the woods. So those are 3 that are in development, and we know that we got to do more on the west side.
There's a railroad that goes all the way along the river, I mean, from downtown to Indiana.
Very active rail line, unfortunately.
Yeah. And could I, just at this point, I feel like we should give a shout out to Great Parks, and I'll look to you to tell us when we're done. I see the creeping to the podium, which means we should wrap up, but we need to give a shout out to Great Parks. They, a number of years ago, sort of polled Great Parks users, and trails came out as a top priority for people. So Great Parks is on this, and Todd Palmander has been just tireless in his efforts to do this. So they've done a fabulous job. So just a call out. So I'm sure they're going to connect with you.
Moving west, Great Parks to east, visibility on Riverside Drive, Eastern Avenue, Columbia Festival. How far out do you think? The trail.
The Oasis Trail?
Yes.
Turn off your recording devices.
The railroad has basically said okay, which has taken 20 years. We're now working on some land transfers between SORA and the city But we've been sort of guaranteed that that's happening very soon.
To get to London. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, we're thinking 3, 4, 5 years out.
To be built, probably 2 to 3 years to be built, at least, yeah. But
I love all these aspiration questions, so I'm going to ask the practical question. Who maintains this?
that is a very good question.
Really good question.
Part of our negotiation is with our former mayor, Mr. Cranley. He said, you have to maintain it. We said, no, we're not maintaining it, because no nonprofit maintains a trail. So the city is maintaining Watson Way, for instance. The city was maintaining Lunken, and part of the trade-off was Great Parks, as Jan said, stepped up to say, we'll not only do arm letter, we'll maintain Lunken, and we'll also maintain Oasis all the way to Smale Park. So it's part of the whole negotiation.
Part of the puzzle.
It'll all be maintained by the public. We are responsible for the planting and maintenance of the planting, we being volunteers.
Some of the signage.
Yeah, and signage.
I assume there are unwritten rules of travelers, such as you can go both ways, and the bikers are more in the middle and the walkers are on the side. As simple as that?
I'll go ahead and answer. You know, that's another great question. It's sort of called trail etiquette, and Tri-State Trails is actually working on this, and they're trying to make it more public, because if you don't live in a place that has trails, you might not grow up with that trail etiquette, and it's really important for safety and for everybody to have a great time on the trail. So there are guidelines for trail etiquette, for if you're a biker, letting people, if they're walking, know that you're coming up behind them. You know, so there's some basic rules that are really important for everybody to pay attention to, and we've gotten those rules not only in some of the paperwork that we have, but also out on the trails, so people can read those.
And electric bikes present a whole new challenge to that, yeah.
So Wim, Jan, Wade, Sean, thank you all very, very much. As a token of our appreciation, I have one coin that has our beautiful skyline on it and the Rotary four-way test on the back. So thank you. Let's give them another big round of applause. Two committee meetings, hands-on service, and membership development. Make it a great afternoon. Live the Rotary way. Meeting adjourned.